So ChatGPT is great for writing the short form stuff, emails, maybe blog posts, whatever. But what if you have to write a more bigger report? How can we build out a report or build out some bigger documents by using ChatGPT to help us outline and help build this out? So let's look at some examples of that here and how we might do that. So first one is, let's look at a business case, right? A business case is a document you're writing to try to get approval and funding to start a new project. It's not an actual project plan or anything like that, or something you're implementing. Is asking for approval to do something, right, with a business case, particularly if it needs funding. So if we look at ChatGPT in here, I could go into the question area again here, and let's say I'm not familiar with writing business cases. I might say, could you give me an outline of a well-written business case? This is where you got to put in the right thing. If you wrote business plan, they might be thinking that's for new companies, right? A business plan is like you're going to get funding for a new company. That's different than a business case, which is like getting money or getting approval to go ahead with a project inside your company. So there's a difference. So you want to make sure if you put in the wrong information, you're going to get the wrong information back, right? So, give me an outline of a well-written business case. Like, what would be the different components on that, right? It says, sure, you're a nice guy, Steve, I'll give you an outline, but here's a basic outline, right? So talking about the introduction, problem or opportunity state, objectives, different things that you might have in there. I think you would start with like an executive summary. So you can see how there's some limitations here. I'd say, maybe I want that more, or maybe that's part of the introduction, right? Like, but I know there should be an executive summary in there, in addition to all these other things here too. And you got objectives, alternatives, and all this. But maybe I might want to put in there something around executive summaries while that's still typing away. So like for a business case, what is included in an executive summary? All right? Oops. Well, see, figure that out for me. Again, I love this. I don't have to be such a good typer. So it's a brief summary, highlights the key points, and quick overview. In an executive, you should include summary of the problem, main objectives, because an executive summary should be a review of all the different parts, right? So I can break this out and say, okay, now I know what to include in my executive summary. So when I'm writing my actual executive summary, I'm not copying and pasting from ChatGPT. I'm using this as an outline to help me write my executive summary and make sure I'm catching everything maybe in there, for example. Or or I could have it expand on different types of things, expand more on what an implementation plan or whatever it might be. I can ask GPT for those types of things, right? So I could ask it to write a business case. I could write project plans. Maybe I want to do a research report, right? So maybe this would be actually better as a new chat. And so I want to write a research report on social media marketing, right? So maybe I want to say, could you write a research report on social media marketing for a pizza restaurant? Because maybe some types of social media marketing are better for some companies than others, right? So we're going to ask it to do a research report. I've never tried this before, so we're going to see how this works, right? But here's the brief outline of research from social media marketing for a pizza restaurant. Include, you have a section, then you have your introduction and all this, and backgrounds and all this, and it's going to keep kind of doing this too. I'm hoping that it'll come back with stuff like, here's methodology, different, kind. So this is like high-level report, a review on how to basically structure your report. So we started writing a report, and then maybe you would want to expand on the different things based on what you're finding, right? So, or maybe it's not really getting to what I want to, right? What would be the recommendation? So I see how it's built the structure of a broader report, but maybe I'd want to say, how can you use Facebook marketing, Facebook ads for a pizza restaurant? Or whatever, or restaurant, since I can't type. So here are a few ways in pizza I could use Facebook ads, right? So now I'm building out more detail that might be coming in my report, right? About how it can be targeted, promotions and discounts. They give you some examples. Could use Facebook ads, offer a large pizza, buy one, get one free. But you think about your own business about, how could I write a Facebook ad or something like that, maybe for your own business, customer engagement, promotions, all sorts of stuff. So it's covering a lot of ground that I can then build up on that, and and then just really kind of go from there in terms of your report writing, right? And let's start one more new chat, and let's say you're a manager and you need to write a performance appraisal, right? Now, usually those will come templated out, but maybe I want to talk about, from a performance appraisal for an underperforming employee, team member, right? Employee. And let's say I just want an example, what that might look like. It's going to vary because, a performance appraisal is going to vary it's going to be something that's real specific to a person, right? But this is hopefully going to help us, and hopefully it will help us to kind of think about this, how to address things, address it as soon as possible, that you have your documentation. So this might be a structure. If it's not a formalized performance appraisal, maybe this is maybe it's an email that this is going to be about performance, or a written document that they're underperforming. So instead of this being the formal annualized appraisal, this would actually be better using it as a documentation. Like, I've had a one-to-one discussion with somebody who's underperforming, and I have performance that needs improvement, title for the team member's name, the date. What's going below expectations? Is there any strengths that the team member is doing, that I might want to add in there? But certainly areas for improvement and goals for the next evaluation period, those might be things, and what's our action plan? So this might be, a way to lay this out, and it gives you some examples of how this might look. But this was for a performance appraisal. I could change this into something else as far as, could you change this to a write-up? Oops. I wonder if it'll recognize write-up for being late to work. We'll just start with that. So maybe instead of like a full-blown performance appraisal, maybe the person's coming in late to work. I'm not sure how to write this. I have to write a document because Human Resources wants a document. How would I do this? And you can see how it's sitting here. Performance write-up for the team member, the date, frequent tardiness overview, and then and then you fill in with the details, right? So they're giving you examples, but you could say from 15 minutes to an hour, maybe it's every day, maybe it's Thursdays and Fridays, whatever it might be, and then outlining your expectations, and then the next actions they're taking, and goals for improvement, and then talk about, what happens if it doesn't improve? What if there's no improvement? You'd want to add that in there as well too. What resources and support and all that. So here's some examples of when you're thinking about your reports. I'd like you to think now about what reports do you actually write frequently, and how could you use that ChatGPT to help you better with your more frequent reports, or maybe some unusual reports as well.